Yo, what is going on, everybody? I would like to welcome you back to the Fessin' Up podcast. And today we are going to be breaking down All Stars Rivals episode 1. So before we begin this episode, I don't have my production team here, so we're not going to have the mics and the headset and all the equipment. So it's actually going to be a treat for y'all because I'm going to do like I used to do back in the day in Double Agents and Total Madness, and I'm just going to upload it right to YouTube for you guys. The first one, breaking down episode 1, cast reactions, and yeah. But moving forward, all the episodes are going to be on Patreon starting next week for the first daily challenge. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the Patreon. Some pretty cool stuff on there, and we'll be breaking down every episode. Yeah, so let's get into it. This is, for those who don't know me, my name is Fessel, known as Fessy. I was on Big Brother season 20. My first season on the challenge was Total Madness. I believe this was in 2019 we shot it, so it probably came out around 2020. And since then, I've done 6 seasons of the challenge, made 3 finals, and I haven't won yet. So that's kind of my background when it comes to the challenge. Now, this is my first season of All Stars, so I was actually really excited to go. For those who don't know, I was actually I was an alternate for season 40. And in the past, when they've asked me to do the alternate, they've asked me, I believe once before, and I was real hesitant about it because the first season I was supposed to be on Big Brother was actually season 19. I was like a finalist, top 24 phone call. They were like, yeah, you're about to be on. Then last minute, they called me to be an alternate, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. If you want me, I'll go. So long story short, I believe it was for Ride or Dies. They mentioned alternate, and I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna do that. So anyways, I went through with the paperwork, and I ended up getting a call right before the season that I wasn't an alternate. So when I got the alternate call for 40, I was like, you know what? Shit happens all the time. I've been blessed to be on 5 seasons in the past 4 or 5 years. Not a lot of people outside, the Banana, CT, Corey, Josh, have really been in the past 5 years on every season. So I was like, you know what? I'm cool. Give other people a chance to shine. So I was cool with it, and then right after I got the call for All Stars, and I was like, hell yeah, let's go. Shorter filming time. And yeah, so I was excited to see what All Stars is about. So we get there, and for those who don't know, the city was Ho Chi Minh, I believe that's how it's pronounced. Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. And it was hot, man. We shot between, I believe the shoot dates, we left like end of May, all the way through June. And it was hot. I don't know if you saw in anybody's Instagram pictures, they were holding umbrellas. I think Adam had posted a picture of him holding an umbrella. And the reason why they gave the cast umbrellas was not because it was raining. It was because on shoot days, we're out in the sun for sometimes 6-8 hours, and there's a lot of break times. Crew got to break for lunch. They got to set up all the equipment. We got to get the shots right. So yes, we have tents and stuff, but even when we walk to our marks, on the challenge letters, we're standing there for sometimes more than an hour. So, we were able to have umbrellas to protect us from the sun, right up until, they got the cameras out and started shooting. So that was nice. But yeah, if you saw the umbrellas, that's what it was about. As far as the house was complete fire. So it was actually shot in the same city that they filmed 40 in. And their house that they filmed in, the castle or whatever, was only 5 minutes or less. It was like a 5-minute drive from our house. So it was kind of cool. We got to do interviews there. That's where the production still had their green room or their confessional rooms, interview chairs and interview rooms set up. So it was kind of cool, we got to see the castle that they were staying at. And I heard from all the cast on 40 that they hated the castle, but I don't know if it was worse than the bunker on Total Madness. That was definitely something. But yeah, so we show up to our house. Our house is sick, man. It's like I don't know what you want to call it, a compound, but it was like a tower-like hotel, like a boutique type hotel maybe it was before. About 4 stories. All the floors were pretty much rooms. The best part about the house was the backyard. The backyard was sitting probably on at least 2 acres, maybe an acreage of greenery, but there was cabanas and gazebos, and there was even a deck next to the river. And even though the river you didn't want to swim in that river because it was dirty, it was still beautiful to wake up to every morning, to go get a cup of coffee while they're about to read the rules. Every challenge day, twice a week we do daily challenges or whatever. That's twice a week. And they always wake us up super early. So it was nice to, grab a coffee, and while everybody's getting ready, go out by the river and just, enjoy that scenery. It was definitely beautiful. And not to mention we had a pool. It definitely looked like something you would see in an MTV music video, like where they shoot, like a MTV rap video where they're at a pool party in the backyard. Like, it was that type of house. So I was definitely thankful. And also we had individual split AC units in every room. So it was definitely nice to be able to go to sleep with AC, and I don't know how the castle was on season 40, if they had AC or what, but it was hot in Vietnam. So the house, they definitely came through with the house, man. The house was beautiful. 10 out of 10, probably one of the best houses in my 6 seasons. The only one that compares is probably Spies, Lies, Allies, Croatia. That house was beautiful with the pool, infinity pool, and huge backyard. And even Challenge USA 2, the house and backyard wasn't bad. It was just the weather. It was cold when we were filming. But yeah, this house definitely 10 out of 10. I wasn't complaining about the house whatsoever. And then, so, every season when they drop us off at the house, they go ahead, find your rooms. And everybody runs in because everybody wants to see who can get the best room, whatever, who has the best bathroom. So I never really know what to do in these situations. What I do, and here's the trick that I do. What you do is the first room you run into that looks decent, you have your jacket, your challenge jacket or your duffel bag, you have that in your hand. If you're not sure about it, but it's not that bad, you put your duffel bag or your hoodie and you're like, yeah, this is mine. Then you go see if there's anything else. If you could find anything else, then you just camp out there and you're like, yeah, this is me, and you go get your bags later, or you tell somebody else to go get it. So what I did, I ran upstairs, found a room, and every room had bunk beds, right? So each room either had 2 sets of bunk beds, so 4 people per room, or some rooms even had 3 sets of bunk beds, so 6 people per room. So I went ahead and made sure I secured a 2-bed or a 2-bunk room for me and Amber, right? So I run in and there's no one in the room yet. So I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna hold it. So then immediately, I think after, Devin runs in and we kind of look at each other and we're like, should we do it? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Because Devin's partner was Leroy. I was cool with Leroy, and I've done seasons before with Devin, and obviously Devin and Leroy are a strong pair. So it really wasn't even about, who we're gonna be rooming with and sharing a bathroom. It was, to be honest, I really wasn't trying to get stuck in a 3 bunk bed room, so 6 people with girl pairs. Because yeah, they're messy sometimes and they got all their hair products and their suitcases on the floor, especially Big T. So I was like, at least Devin and Leroy, they got their own shit at home. They got girls back home. I think they're gonna be semi put together, right? And we each had our own bathroom and balcony. So that was fire. Like, to have your own bathroom and shower, to only have to share with 3 other people, that was clutch. And then to have a sliding glass door in each room with a balcony overlooking the pool and river, like, it don't get much better than that. But yeah, so it ended up being Amber and I, because TJ said you have to bunk with your rival. So obviously it was Amber and I in one bed, or one bunk. I was on bottom, she was on top. I kind of felt bad, because she recently had a baby, she's a mother. Put her on the top, but I really can't fit up there. I don't even fit on the bottom. So she definitely was a real one for taking the top, I will say that. But one thing I will say that was kind of weird was, so when Amber runs in the room and she's like, should we stay here? I'm like, yeah, up to you. It's Devin and Leroy. And I'm pretty sure Amber was cool with Devin and Leroy. So she was like, yeah, I'm cool with that. But then Amber comes up to me and she's like, hey, if KellyAnne asks, just say we played rock, paper, scissors for the room. And I was like, what? Why? And she was like, because she said, make sure you don't let Fessy pick the room. Like, you have a say in it too. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, wow, this is what we're doing. They think I'm like really trying to control Amber like that. Like, it's not even like that. But, you know, that was like day one. When I heard that, I was like, that was red flag number one about KellyAnne. Because when I first met KellyAnne in the hotel, you know, we got to stay a night or two in the hotel before we moved in the house. And she was mad friendly. She, made sure she took the time to come up to me and talk and get to know me. So I was like, damn, KellyAnne seems mad friendly, mad cool. Then we get in the house once we found out it was rivals. And I think, you know, what it's from is, I think KellyAnne and Amber had some bonding time and a good friendship on, I believe, Global Champion or World Champions. And so obviously, you know, she knew Amber and I were rivals, so she was trying to stick up for Amber, but I was like, just seeing that, I was like, bro, it wasn't even that big of a deal. And so I was like, all right, whatever. And there was one more thing about KellyAnne. I think it was, we were getting ready, when on the episodes when you see us walk out before the daily challenge, you know, they show us all walk up in a line, you know, out the sliding glass door, down the pool deck, whatever. You see all of us walking. So we all have to stand behind the sliding glass door, you know, for like 20 minutes while they get the camera set up. So, you know, production will always tell us, all right, guys, time to go, get in lines, get in your pairs or whatever. And then we're on standby for another, 10, 15 minutes. So I'm like tying my shoe and we're not even getting ready to go. Like, we're on complete standby. And then KellyAnne's like, come on, Fessy, get with your partner. And I'm like, KellyAnne, I'm tying my shoe. Like, I'll get up there when it's time. Like, she was trying to make sure that, like, I didn't call Amber to where I was standing, that I went and stood where Amber was standing. And I understood that right away, what she was trying to do, but I was like, yo, it's not even like that. Like, that's not even how I move. I don't like tell women like, hey, come here, over here. Like, I make it convenient for them. And like, I don't know. I mean, obviously she probably watched episodes in the past of me voting in Amber or voting myself in, but I never yelled at Amber before or demand or like, scolded her. I've never done that. So it was kind of weird to see that all unfolding. So that was red flag number 2 on KellyAnne. So I was kind of like, all right, she's not really fucking with me. So let me watch how I move around her. But because she was so cool with because Amber was so cool with KellyAnne, that was kind of how I was moving this season. I was like, when I saw the way the cast was set up, and I mean, I didn't know where the alliances were gonna unfold. I didn't have my typical people in there. I didn't have Josh. I didn't have Corey. That's really it nowadays. I mean, the alliances are so fucked nowadays, man. So we walk in, and I didn't know what the hell was going on, right? So I was like, bet, I'm gonna play Amber's political game. I don't really have a lot of ties in here. We're rooming with Devin and Leroy, so hopefully, we can attach ourselves to them because I think they're gonna win. They think, and vice versa, they thought we were gonna win daily. So it just made sense that, let's try to ride this out together. But as far as alliances, I really didn't have, there was a lot of OGs and there was a lot of OGs and people I didn't met. There was a lot of OGs and people I haven't met before, right? So I really didn't know where I stood with them. And even the OGs that I knew and I've done seasons in the past before with, like an Anissa or an Ashley or who else have I done a season with? Let me look at this cast. Melissa, Nicole, like, even though I've done seasons with them, I didn't know where I stood on their totem pole amongst all the other castmates, because obviously everybody has their separate connections, right? So it was really confusing to try to figure that out. So I was like, I'm just gonna rock with Amber. Like, I'm gonna, make sure or try my best to help us secure our safety and win these dailies as much as I can. But as far as who she wants to vote in, I'm gonna give her my thoughts, but I wasn't trying to, my game plan for the season was I'm not gonna try to strong arm Amber into getting her to do what I want politically. You know, I've never really moved like that politically. I've made bold moves, right? But that was just because that's what the game called for in that moment, you know, and it's either you make a move to further yourself or, you know, you scratch everybody else's back. And, you know, that's kind of the way I was moving on my first couple seasons. And, you know, I think because me being the new guy doing that, the audience wasn't ready for it. My fellow castmates wasn't ready for it. Production probably wasn't ready for it. So basically you can't paint that guy as the badass Superman. You got to paint him as like, whoa, you're going against the OGs, bucking up to the OGs. Who do you think you are? You know, so that was back in my younger days. I've kind of grown in the sense that that I know how the show gets aired. You know, I know what they're gonna show. I know how, you know, they like to build up stuff. So, you know, there's some people like, for instance, Devin. Devin has a notepad every season and he's writing in it, you know, every day, his confessional notes. You know, he tells jokes in there and all those little one-liners you hear him say in the confessionals, he got that shit written down, and it's smart. You know, that's being a professional. You know, we're there to make good TV, and you know, he writes that shit down and he brings it to the interview room and he kills it in there. So, you know, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I'm just rambling at this point. So let's get into some of these questions. I'll get into some cast reactions, I guess, after. All right. Here we go. You got to the ice first. What happened? Why is this shit fucking up? Okay, you got to the ice first. What happened? So first, let me talk about the daily challenge. So this was a star challenge. So basically, I believe TJ announced you're not going to have, or we didn't even know, but I think we found out after, you had no power to send a team into elimination. This was just a star challenge to figure out which 4 pairs start the game with the star. And obviously you need the star to get to the final. There's only 4 stars, so we're assuming only 4 pairs get to make the final. So the first checkpoint you had, and we're tied, you and your partner are tied with a rope, maybe like 3 feet long, right? So there's not a lot of wiggle room. So you had to run in this mud, dump it on each other, and then carry it to this bucket. So I had this idea because I'm just thinking surface area, like everybody's trying to dump it on their back or smother it on their body. And when you're running, that shit's just gonna fall off, you know? So I had this idea that if Amber lays down, because there was kind of a ledge, you know, to get up from the mud pit, and there was enough wiggle room on the rope to where I was like, Amber, lay flat on the ledge. That way I could just dump all this mud on her. And then when I go to get up, I can lean her back to where the mud is resting in between her torso and my torso and just carry her like this. But the hard part was I couldn't really get all the way under her because of the harness and the rope, and she was muddy. So I really had to, it was hard. And, you know, they showed one clip of me carrying her. I believe carried her maybe 6 or 7 times back and forth. That shit was hard. Amber's light as a feather. I don't know how heavy she is. I would say probably around 120, something like that. So she's light, but that mud was very dense and it was very heavy. I will say that. So yeah, we get to the ice first. So this is what happened with the ice. So TJ said each player in the pair has to hold 1 spoon. You can't put your hand on the other player's spoon. So that's what made it so difficult, because one person is balancing 1 spoon and you needed both spoons because the ice block was too big to hold on one, or, you know, that's the way the game was designed to play. So we get to the checkpoint first. So I'm just trying to go by the rule book, right? I'm like, and Amber and I keep fucking up, but we're getting closer and closer, right? So team after team, I think Devin and Leroy, then Adam and Steve, they show up, and I can see that they start to get it. And I don't know, in my head, I guess we just shit the bed in that moment, because I was trying to do it the right way. Then I'm looking at the episode last night, episode 1. Everybody's using both hands on both spoons. You saw Turbo and Nani. Turbo got both hands on it. Yeah, Nani got her hand on the back, but Turbo's controlling that motherfucker. And even Shane and Davon's in the back. Shane got both hands on it. So there's a saying in the challenge, and I will say this: if there's any people who've never been on the challenge and maybe about to go on the challenge, there's a saying on the challenge we like to say. It's called There's a saying on the challenge called "ask for forgiveness, not permission." Right? And basically what that means is, like, instead of, if you have an idea, right? Obviously you could get DQ'd, right? For any daily, it's producer discretion, right? But if you have an idea or whatever, before the challenge starts, if you raise your hand and ask about it, 9 out of 10 times production's gonna say, no, you can't do that, right? But if you do it in the spur of the moment, production got so much shit going on, you know, not only the cameras and the audio and whatever. They got specific production crew to, like, analyze the gameplay, right? But one production member might be in charge of viewing 4 or 5 people. So, you know, it's just like in basketball. You have 3 refs or whatever. They're not going to be able to see every little thing. So all I'm saying is, I'm not bitching or making excuses. Amber and I did shit the bed in that. I'm more so giving props to pairs like Turbo and Nani and Shane and Davon, because while Amber and I sat there with our head up our asses, they were adapting, you know? Like, obviously that shit was not working. Like, you heard Leroy, he was like, go in your kitchen, grab some chopsticks and try that shit. That shit was hard. And that's something you can't train for. Like, I heard Sam say you can't train for a mud pit or whatever, but you kind of can. There's like Spartan races and shit. Like, there's no wooden, I guess Field Day has wooden spoons balancing eggs or ice cubes or whatever. But yeah, we definitely shit the bed in that. But I guess if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. But yeah. So I think what was definitely eye-opening was not only seeing the top 2 pairs finish. Obviously the top 2 pairs was Adam and Steve and Devin and Leroy, but how much of a gap it was. Like, it was like Adam and Steve by a mile, then Devin and Leroy by a mile, and then Nani and Turbo and Big T and Corey were close, you know. But after that challenge, everybody kind of looked. You saw me kind of, when TJ was announcing the stars, I kind of look over there like, did everybody just see that? Like, they just blew everybody out of the water on the first challenge. Like, that's definitely putting a target on your back, right? And obviously there was only, 2 guy pairs in the house. So obviously they knew it. Everybody in the house knew it, that they were obviously gonna be big targets. But that's what comes with it, right? You get a good partner, obviously you're gonna be a target. That's the way the game goes. So one thing I will say before I forget, because I think it's kind of funny, is, so right after, it was either, you know, right after we split into, we find out our rival partners, or right after the Star Challenge, there was a lot of pairs that were bitching about the pairs being uneven, you know? Not me, shit. Even though, you know, I wasn't in a guy pair, I was looking at Amber like, I got the best partner here. Like, if I had, and I'm not just saying this because Amber's my partner, and y'all can believe it or not, but if we were to show up there and TJ said I won the first daily and I get to pick my partner, I would have picked Amber, man. Like, she has all the missing links I need. Like, she could run for days. She doesn't give up. She's athletic as fuck. You know, a lot of these challenges, like the stunt double type challenges where we're, you know, harnessed up on semi trucks, running on top of cars, climbing. That's the type of stuff Amber's good at. You know, she has very good body control, you know, so, and what, her one weakness is math, and I could do math. It's easy math, you know, and hopefully we'll be able to do the math together, but even if we're not, we'll be fine. But yeah, I definitely would have picked Amber, but here's what I'm trying to say. So one of the first few days on the bus, all the pairs were bitching, you know, at the Star Challenge or after the Star Challenge, like, this shit is not fair. Like, to the point where we're sitting on the bus one day and the head executive producer, head honcho lady, she walks on the bus and she's like, listen, I need all y'all to stop bitching about it not being fair and the pairs being uneven. I'm gonna tell you this right now. The most fit person and fit pair on this bus is not gonna win the final. I'm telling y'all that right now. That's not the way this game is going. And then she walks off. And when I heard that, I tell you, I stopped running from that day on. I was like, you know, because obviously you're in the challenge house and, you know, you're getting ready for the final. You got a bunch of downtime in that house. So everybody's running laps, you know, trying to get in good shape, get their cardio up. Once I heard that, I'm like, man, I'm in chill mode, man. Let me go grab a Diet Coke and some Pringles, man. Because she clearly just said that, you know, and from that point on in my head, I was thinking, okay, here comes the carnival games. So that's what we sign up for. You know, as much as I enjoy the physical aspect of the challenge, that doesn't mean I dislike the other parts. You know, I love hanging. No, I'm not going to say I love hanging from skyscrapers, because that shit does scare me too. I might not be crying and making a big deal, but my knees are shaking and I am thinking about that and I'm not looking down. So that shit does scare me too. Even though it does scare me, my will and want to win is more. So I'm like trying to block all that shit and fear out, because I'm like, it's important for me to win. But I like all that shit. Swimming, math, puzzles, even though puzzles are, you know, it's a toss-up. Anybody could win that. I'm okay with the puzzle. It's part of the game. But from that point on, you know, it kind of put in my head like, okay, like, obviously, because of the way these pairs are set up, you have guy-guy pairs, you have girl-girl pairs. They have to make these daily challenges and eliminations to where they're somewhat fair for everybody, right? That's the name of the game. So I knew there was going to be equalizers. But I just thought that was funny that the head executive producer came on the bus like first couple days, like, yo, stop y'all's bitching, all right? The teams aren't unfair. Y'all are all here. Most of y'all are champions. Stop the bitching. All right. Y'all have won this game before. You know how it's going to go. The most fit person on this bus is not winning the final. And I was like, all right, that shut all them up. You can stop the bitching now. But Devin and Leroy and Adam and Steve are just such a top tier. Not even because they're a guy-guy pair. You know, you could have a guy-guy pair and yes, they would still, in my opinion, have somewhat of an advantage, obviously, in the physical aspect or a running or a carrying stuff challenge, right? But Adam and Steve, both smart, and Devin and Leroy, I mean, Devin's smart as hell in the checkpoints, so, and Leroy's probably one of the most in shape dudes on the cast. So, I mean, those two teams were definitely, in my eyes, the two teams to beat. And then Turbo and Nani, obviously up there, and then I think those were the teams, you know. And then Ashley and Dario, I didn't know anything about them competitively. I've never met them, and, you know, I believe they've won, or Ashley's won, but, you know, I didn't know how they were going to work together, but still, they both wanted to win. They were both very competitive, both in very good shape, so I knew they were definitely going to be some competition, you know, because they were definitely, you look at them, they're very capable of winning these type of challenges. But yeah, so let's get into another question. Why was I paired with Amber? For those who don't know, I think they showed it on the episode. How the whole Amber thing started was our first season together was double agents. This was her rookie season, my second season. Mind you, this is me coming off my first loss in Total Madness in the final. So I come in to double agents and I almost didn't make it on double agents because this was during COVID. When we flew into Iceland, they had to give us a COVID test. We had to quarantine for like a week in the hotel. They had to wait for the results. It was a big deal. So I got a knock on the door one day when we were in quarantine, and it's the guys in the full suit, mask, all this. They throw me like the Ziploc bag that got a mask, gloves, all this stuff in it. They're like, put this on, you guys, you gotta come with me. And we're like in Iceland, I'm like freaking out. Like, obviously it's something to do with COVID. We just took our COVID test. So I'm like, shit, I probably failed. So I'm like, they're probably I'm not gonna be on the show. So it was so crazy that we were set to move in the house that day. And they had to retest me. So, but they had already planned to move everybody into the house. So what they did was everybody got on the bus to go to the house. The drive from the hotel to the house, Challenge House, was a couple hours, right? So they all took off and they put me in a separate car with like the whole thing blocked off and everything. And everybody's looking on the bus like, give me the thumbs up, thumbs down. I'm like, I don't know. So long story short, I had to ride in a separate car with just one security guard and follow them 3 hours to the house because we were awaiting my second test for the COVID results. And if it was negative, they were gonna let me go in the house. And if it was positive, obviously that's why they're keeping me in a separate car. So it ended up being negative. The head executive producer told me when I got out of the car, I saw the Challenge House, the bus up there, like right up there. And I was like, damn, is she about to tell me I'm not on? So I'm telling you all this because I just lost Total Madness, almost wasn't on double agents. So I was like, basically in my mind, I was like, fuck everybody. I'm here to win this shit. Like, I didn't win last season. I got blessed to be on again, even though I was boring as fuck my first season. Almost didn't make it on because this COVID situation. And the head executive producer, she told me right before she let me rejoin the cast, she was like, you better bring it this season. So when she told me that, I was like, all right, let's go. Let's make a TV show. So I'm saying this to say that was already my mindset this season. Fuck everybody. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to win, right? So where Amber came into play was she was a Big Brother alumni. So when she came into the game, she was already cool with Josh and Casey, who was like my number one and number two, or number one and number one, right? So by association, we were kind of together, right? But where the problem came in is Amber and I never really took the time to get to know each other. We never had conversations ever, to the point where like we would all have like a little conversation before a vote, and you know, there'd be like 8 of us there, and then we would agree to vote somewhere, and then after the vote, she would come up to me and be like, oh man, it's fucked up, like you didn't vote with us. So I was like, damn, like she was getting mad because I wasn't voting every time with her, but she kind of was talking to people like other rookies that I wasn't associated with. So in my mind, I just thought she kind of had her own alliances going, right? So I never took the time to get to know her or talk to her about the game. So that was really it as far as the alliance went. Was she was cool with Josh and Casey, so I was cool with her, but we never discussed anything. So what happened was the very last elimination, we knew it was going to be a guy's day. So basically, I was partnered with Anissa the whole season, and I was just getting frustrated, like that I wasn't able to compete or do some things or whatever, right? So I was like, me and Corey were sitting there was a backgammon game on the couch with dice, and he was like, all right, if you roll doubles, sixes, or doubles, you got to vote yourself in. Because the thing about voting yourself in is you get to steal a partner. So if you know it's the last elimination, you go in, you win, you can steal any partner you want, basically set yourself up for the final. So that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to make a big game move, make good TV, voting myself into 2 eliminations, and y'all didn't even appreciate it. So I did all that shit for no reason, but yeah. So basically, I rolled doubles, and Corey's like, oh, fuck, you gotta go. And he was like, all right, if I roll doubles too, you gotta go for sure. And he rolls doubles. So I was like, all right, man, I'm gonna go. So the next day I wrote the note, and I wrote the note to make sure I got the point across of like, listen, Amber, this has nothing to do with you. This has something to do with myself. This game hasn't really been in my control. I won the first daily that TJ said we were gonna have an advantage, but then because Anissa had a faster time, only she got to pick her partner. She picked me, right? Then I go in against Nelson just to get rid of Anissa, steal Casey. Then Anissa beats Tori 2 days later, and the very next elimination steals me back, right? So I was just frustrated, like, you know, I really wanted to compete and I was acting like an asshole, like I wasn't worried about anybody else. So I wrote the note to be like, listen, Amber, this isn't about you. I think you're amazing. Like, I never scolded her. I never belittled her. You know, maybe she felt belittled because I didn't want to be her partner. But it was more so the fact that I was like, man, I want to go win this with Casey. It was more so that, you know? Yeah, and then Casey ends up getting hurt. And when she got hurt, I just thought we were gonna that was it. Because she was screaming in pain. The medics, like, we had to bring the medics up the mountain. We were like on the side of a cliff. So I'm just see everybody passing us. I'm like, all right, it's been an hour already. We're done. So by the time we get to the checkpoint, the other pairs had already pretty much finished eating. You know, they were at it for 30 minutes. So I'm like, are we DQ'd? Like, what's going on? They're like, just eat it. Man, that's a story for another day. We're not here to talk about that shit. But yeah. So Amber ends up winning. And after the season, I texted her. I was like, listen, congrats on winning. You deserve it. Like, no hard feelings. You know, so it never was anything really. Then Spies, Lies, Allies comes, and again, we're in quarantine before the season, and we got balconies, and everybody's shouting from the balcony. And some rumor had happened, got passed down that Amber was screaming, fuck Big Brother, from the balcony. This is before the season on Spies, Lies, Allies, right? And I didn't hear it, but somebody had told me it, right? So whatever, in one ear, out the other, no big deal. Right? Everybody drinking wine, having fun. It wasn't really a big deal. So then we end up getting on Spies, Lies, and Allies, and Amber's not on. I guess she was an alternate. So I had heard some other things that she was saying on after her win on podcast. She was like, yeah, they were asking if she was going to ever work with Big Brother again. So, and she was like, you know, basically what I heard, she was like, no, or like, you know, hinted at, implying like, no, she did not want to work with Big Brother. So anyway, Spies, Lies, Allies comes. She ends up getting on the season. Like, that's when she shows up to the Lamborghini, makes her entrance, right? We're like, oh shit, that was a pretty badass entrance. That was the second daily challenge because somebody got hurt or had to go home, right? So Esther and I, she pulls up right to that challenge on the runway, right? Where we're doing the helicopter Range Rover, catch the sandbag challenge. Esther and I end up winning that challenge. So she comes into the game and right away, Esther and I are in power, right? And she's partnered with Josh, but then she finds out, or I don't know if she knew, that I think she thought because she was with Josh, she was safe. But if you guys don't remember, the rule of the game was you didn't have to select a pair. You could select one guy from this pair, one girl from this pair. Right? So this is where the gray area happens, right? Before the vote, I think Amber, Josh, they kind of sensed that, you know, Amber was a possibility. So they come talk to me in the pool area, in the inside pool. They're like, yo, are we good? Blah, blah, blah. Like, we're good. And it was really like that. It was that simple. Like, Josh was like, don't vote Amber. We're good. Like, it's squashed, blah, blah, blah. Because Josh was partnered with her now. And I think Josh had a good partner in Amber. You know, he finally got a good partner, a good chance. He didn't want to fuck it up, you know, and I understand that coming from him, but he wanted me to play his game. You know, when I won, he wanted me to do what was best for him. And I'm like, listen, if I think Amber's coming after me because she don't talk to me and she's super friendly with everybody else, but, you know, and it's not just her fault. Maybe I didn't take the time to go up to her, but that's just what it was. So basically, that was before the second elimination, right? So we ended up not voting in Amber. 2 weeks go by, Esther and I win the fourth challenge. And that was like 2 weeks, right? Or maybe a whole week. From that point, the second daily that Amber and Josh and I had a conversation saying don't vote her in, and Esther and I didn't vote her in that second daily. From that point to the fourth daily challenge, the second daily that Esther and I won, Amber and I did not say one word together. We didn't speak to each other is what I'm trying to say, right? So that from the second challenge to the fourth challenge, about a week time frame in between, right? Not a word, nothing. So my paranoia and sketch level about her just kept going up, right? So basically that's what happened. It was never no real blown argument until I voted her in, and she came back and Tori said I ate her pizza, and there was a whole thing, and that's when I ended up getting kicked off for mushing Josh in the face. But yeah, that's kind of why Amber and I are rivals. But I will say this also, I watched the episode. At the end, it shows me walking with Big T, and she says, will you steal the money? And it cuts to me in the confessional, and it says 300K is 300K, I'll take it, I got bills to pay. But what I meant by that is they asked me, what do you think about the prize money? How do you feel about it? And I answered 300,000 is 300,000, I'll take it. I got bills to pay, it's not 500,000, but 300,000 a lot of money. They plug and played it. If you notice, when Big T is walking, that's when they're playing the audio of Big T saying, will you take the money? I don't even think she said that in the moment, but that's what, I get it, that's what we sign up for. Reality television, we sign in the contract, it literally says they could take clips and change it and move it around for dramatic effect. So I get it, but no, I would not steal the money from Amber. Just cut it out. I get it, we're making a TV show, but that's what I meant. 300K is 300K, I'll take it. It's not 500,000, but it's still a lot of money, I'll take it. Not I'll take it from Amber. But yeah, that's reality television for you, but you gotta love it. Was I expecting anybody else to be my rival? No, I was pretty positive it was gonna be Anissa. Trying to go through these photos. Okay. Doo-doo. Whoa, whoa. Okay, first impressions. First impression of Turbo. Actually, my first impression of Turbo was on Ride or Dies in the airport when I first met him, and he was like a surprise guest. You know, nobody thought he would be back, and he wasn't on no spoiler list. So when he showed up at the airport, everybody was surprised. So this is on Ride or Dies, mind you, which was about 2 years ago. This is the last time we saw Turbo. But this was my first time meeting Turbo. So we're walking, we all meet up at the airport, you know, like half the cast, and we're walking to the gate together. So this is the first time we're all like meeting each other, introducing each other. So we're all walking in unison, and I look over and I'm like, damn, they brought this motherfucker Turbo back? That's lit. Like, and he goes, what'd you say? No, you don't call me motherfucker. He didn't like that I said motherfucker. He's like, you don't call me this. So, and I was like, Turbo, I was just joking, man. Like, I was excited to see you. Like, I didn't even mean it like that. So from that point on, I knew that Turbo had his guard up. And I think it had to do with, you know, probably before I got there, what he experienced on War of the Worlds with Bananas and Jordan and all them. And his English wasn't that good. So I think he showed up to Ride or Dies. And the first thing he did when he walked on the bus, because, you know, they brought in some pairs later. The first thing they do when, I think when Bananas and Nani walked on the bus after elimination, this is the first time we're seeing them. He's yelling at Bananas, oh, I know English now, you think you could come for me? So I think that was Turbo's objective that season, was he learned better English, and he wasn't gonna take no shit, you know, because I'm sure he got heckled a lot between, who knows, Bananas, Devin, Jordan, all them, right? But I was genuinely interested in getting to know Turbo, right? So basically, he shows up again for All-Stars. This is my second time meeting Turbo. And he's a whole new man. I think he understood the assignment this time, and me and him talked, and he understood it was all-stars and it's going to be a little more equalizers. He understood that. So he was a lot more relaxed, which was cool to see because I was really interested in getting to know him. He was a pretty interesting dude. He's experienced a lot. He's from Turkey. My family's from Pakistan. So, I just wanted to pick his brain. So it was kind of cool getting to know Turbo. I will say, I'll tell you a story about Turbo, is we had a cornhole board out back, right? So some days we would play cornhole. Or some days I would see him out there practicing, right? So I went up to Turbo one time. I was like, yo, do you want to play a game, like competitively, me and you? And he's like, okay, whatever. So I think we just started practicing for fun. And then he's like, all right, let's play for real. So I was like, all right. So we played for real. And I think I beat him the first one, right? And ever since that day, at first I don't think he ever played cornhole. So he didn't know how to throw the bags. I think he was throwing it overhand. So I was telling him, listen, bro, I was kind of teaching him, like, throw it underhand and make sure it's spinning so it lands flat. That way it slides smoothly. You don't want it landing awkwardly so it bounces off, right? So I was teaching him, whatever, long story short, beat him the first game, go inside, a couple days go by, he's out there practicing. Like, he's doing cornhole every day, right? Next day I go out there, he's like, you want to play? Bro, he did not miss a shot. He took that shit seriously. So what I'm trying to say is, if you're going to play Turbo in something competitively, you can't play for fun. You got to take every shot like it's your last. Because, I go out there, I got Diet Coke in one hand, talking to somebody across the pool, shooting, just enjoying the sun. Next thing I know, Turbo's up. He sinks 3 in. He's up big. I'm like, all right. You gotta treat every shot like it's your last with Turbo. And another thing is, we had a gym upstairs, right? And it had an elliptical. And the arms of elliptical, right? They're long and sit up high. So I guess Turbo brought his own like plastic ring with him to Vietnam. Every day this man was in the gym, not bench pressing. Yeah, he would lift, but he would superset. He'd do like a lift. Then he would go shoot like 10, 20 shots of the ring he brought onto elliptical arm because he was practicing target practice. Come to find out, we get home from filming, he's on Exalted or whatever, Germany, doing the same thing, killing everybody. And I'm like, man, one thing about Turbo I will say is that man is dedicated. He is a great partner to have because he will not give up, and he is smart. That man is intelligent. I will say that. He's smart when it comes to strategizing, it's hard for him to understand the rules sometimes because they say a lot of rules, but once he understands the game, he thinks outside the box, so that's one thing I'll give Turbo props on. First impressions of Shane and Sylvia, because this is my first time meeting them. In the hotel, meeting Sylvia, she was cool as fuck. She was sarcastic. I was like, man, this is somebody that I could get along with. We kind of had similar personalities, the sarcastic humor and the kind of making fun of, that kind of whatever. So at first, I didn't know if Amanda and Shane were going to kind of have it out for me because of they're so cool with Amanda and, obviously whatever. But one thing I will say I respect about Shane and Sylvia is, and especially Shane, is he really tried to get to know me, right? He didn't even really judge me. He was actually pretty open. So that was kind of cool to see. But yeah, first thoughts on Shane and Sylvia was I was genuinely pleased that, they were welcoming and nice to me. That was cool. The only real experience that was kind of wonky and weird to me was the whole KellyAnne thing when I heard that she told Amber to play rock, paper, and scissors for the room or whatever. I don't know. And then the standing in line thing. But yeah, let's get to another one. I think that's it. That's it, right? Yeah, that's like 49 minutes, man. Y'all gonna have to live with that. Let me see if I give you another reaction. Cast reaction. Steve. So Steve, let me tell you about Steve. I love Steve, great guy, very knowledgeable guy. But one thing about Steve is if you get caught one-on-one with Steve in the kitchen or something late night, making a grilled cheese, and it's just one-on-one, you got no escape plan, he got nobody else to talk to, you might be in that kitchen for an hour. And Steve's smart with it. He'll reel you in by the opening statement being something that you're interested. He'll be like, Fest, did you play football? I'd be like, yeah. He'd be like, well, back when I was in high school, I played football and then 2 minutes later, he's talking about construction on bridges. And I'm like, bro, how did we go from football to construction on bridges? But yeah, that's my reaction on Steve. But Steve and Adam, definitely powerhouse team, man. Definitely. Favorite person you never done a season with prior to this? I don't know. Katie. I think, okay, for the record, I think Katie is TV gold. When I was watching her on 40 in the boat or whatever, it was just like, when you want an OG back, that's what you want to see. You know, she's still funny. The confessionals are amazing. And everybody's sitting at home that's, you know, however old Katie is, 38, 40-year-old mom, they can relate to her. So it's relatable. So it is funny. Katie's funny. She's sarcastic. Yeah, I thought Katie was a breath of fresh air for sure. All right, that's enough. That's 51 minutes. Y'all enjoy. Sorry I rambled. And make sure to subscribe to the Patreon. Link is in my Instagram bio and it's also in the YouTube bio. See y'all. Thanks for tuning in.